Good morning, good day to you. As usual, whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Space Institute, we welcome you back. And we try to see how much more we can learn from each other in this session. As we are going, as has been the tradition, the Keshe Foundation, we try to cover a topic over months and couple of years, till we go into the nitty-gritties, into the detail, and we try to find out more and more. As we came to the cycle of the soul some 3-4 years ago, slowly, and then we spent quite a bit of time in exploring different aspects of the work of the soul in our lives. Now we are in the dimension and direction of connection of our souls. As you gathered right now, how our RNA, our DNA is built to be partially in a dual carriage communication between the physical life and what we call the connection with the source, where we get most of our energy from. In a way, if you look at it, you're not on your own when you stand somewhere. You get fed continuously, the air, the water, the food which is brought to you or you pick up or whatever that guarantees your survival. It's the same with the planet Earth. It's not just something there on its own and is rotating. It continuously receives food from its source. It operates in conjunction with the other organs in its life. When other parts, Jupiter gives it some energies which he cannot or he had before itself, now receives something. Saturn gives us the same thing, and we give to Saturn, and we give something back to the what we call the mother. In a way, it wipes our butts, as we say in English. We're still thinking we are a independent planet rotating in the whatever and rotating in certain direction. The sun is still there like a mother, cleaning up the waste and giving new, continuously refreshes, continuously cleans up what we don't need. We call it magnetical. What is magnetical? Is what we don't need. Gravitational is what we need, we take in. It's like the food we take. What we don't need, we let go. In different shape or forms, as the sweat and the air we breathe, we let go out of our lungs when we take what we need from it. The same process happens between our planetary system and the mother. And the same thing happens with the mother, which is the sun, and its galaxy. So we see we have eternal connection. But as we are humans and we usually one-dimensional, self-centered, we see everything is around us and is us and everything else. But the world of science has to open its eyes. As I always say, there is no difference between in macro and micro. You see what you want to see, but you ignore the others. But the reality is there. You give birth to a child and leave it on the floor. Don't feed it and don't clean it. Soon you'll run into a problem with the child. So it's the same process. We give, we take, we gather information. One thing which the world of science will come to understand, and it'll come to haunt us if we don't understand it, is if you go back to some of the teaching in the past. By the energy, by information we carry as a plasma of the soul, we give away where we come from, where it's our DNA. It's like when you go to the hospital and you want to claim a child is mine, it says, okay, can we have a blood test? From the blood test we follow, yes, you're a father or you're a mother or who your ancestors are. United Nations does these things nowadays. You pay something money and they tell you your roots back. You started from North America, but in fact they trace you which way your grandparents came and your great-great-parents, and then you end up most of the time somewhere in what we call Persian Gulf, the Straits of Hormuz, across there to North Africa. Unless you've taken the new route, which is your parents flew over directly. We see connections directly from what we call African bloods, fresh blood, or from other parts that they didn't go through the what we call conversion and evolution. They just took a flight, blah blah, Kinshasa, into New York and you're an American second generation, but they cannot see the track line of how you got there. When we don't have that line in the world of science, we see how did you fly in? How was it shipped in? With most of the Africans in America, the bloodline of the evolution doesn't exist because they were flown in, they were shipped in as a slave. But the whites had to go through a clearance system, step by step, change from black to brown and then white, and change the color of the eye to blue to survive. African didn't need to do that when they came as a slave. It's the same with us in the universe. We can track back where our star came from, where is DNA connected to, and we can track back where the galaxy's DNA come from. And these becomes literally a routine knowledge in the coming time, because we have to know it to know what is the possibility of us from planet Earth to be able to live in another position in the universe, and what we need to give, what we need to take, to change, to adapt in the position and the time and the place we arrive in. Your soul does not arrive in planet Zeus the way it left the Earth if it wants to manifest itself. It has to adapt, it has to mutate, it has to change. In a way, some higher strength fields will lose their connections, and some lower new strength fields will make connection. They've always been there, but now you need it, you adjust it. This dictates how your physicality will manifest itself. In a way, if you take a soul of the man on Earth and look at the soul of the man on planet Zeus, in certain ways you see the connection of the DNA, but you don't see exactly the same soul, because the soul had to adapt to create, to be able to live in its new conditioned environment. So in every essence, the evolution, what we see in a man's life, is a replication of what happens in the evolution, what to us as a planetary system, as a galaxy, and the universe, and in the unicos. But in essence, in a way, when you go back to it, as they've done some 10,000 blood tests across the world by United Nations some years ago, we all come from the same mother line. We have all a common gene mother. So it shows we all came through that way. And this is like, for example, the Jewish always go with the bloodline of the mother. And Muhammad wanted to be slightly different. He goes the bloodline of the son. But in fact, is the mother who roots down all the way to its essence. So if we do a bloodline change in the soul strength field of the man, we'll see which way he came through. Even it's the same hydrogen connection line, is a slightly different strength, is a slightly different wavelength, slightly different shapes and condition. You have to remember, to penetrate, you have to shake it to get through it. This is what we call in the world of the science frequency. Light, magnetic field, is on a straight line. When it hits, it starts wiggling to find a way through magnetic field, the strength of the cells to get through the atomic structure. A man has made a name for it. They call it a wavelength, because that's how it wiggles as it gets in. Otherwise, we'll travel on a straight line, somewhere bending a little bit by the field forces of its environment. So we see now the bigger picture. We looked at our own DNA, we looked at our own field strength, if it's my mom or I'm not the father. Now we do the same, we feel the strength of the galaxies and the stars and universes and the rest. Then, as the United Nations shows, the 10,000 women around the world from every tribe and land and corner of this planet was tested, coming down to one bloodline. We see all in love. Doesn't matter what color we are, to one mother, one origin who started all. So it's the same with the galaxies and the universes. Through the dimension of the common strength field of the hydrogen, what we call fundamental element, fundamental plasma, we all find our way to our creator. Then it comes interesting, quite. does what we call the creator as a string line to another dimension, to another field strength, which in essence of it is the feeder of it. But where does it get its feed from? And how does it feed this, what we call our universe and the universe? And to what strength we have become enlightened by the knowledge of the creation. One needs to open his eyes to understand the truth about his own creation and the creator. But it comes under the point, in the world of agriculture, we feed the cow, and what the cow drops out, we put it back in the plant, back on the land, and we see it to help the others to grow. What's the replication of this in the world of creation and the universe? I made man in the image of myself, in the field of strength, in my emotion, in my beauty, and in what I don't need. What we see, let's say jealousy, is the God jealous? Is such a streak in him, or is this an orientation of the man on his own due to its environmental condition? But interesting point comes, go back to some teachings of the long time, long back, where we explain about the existence of the copper in the what we call the structure of the man, and the need for two brains, two sections of brains, to balance, to create a condition of communication. Then it comes what happened with those who do not carry copper or material structure in their environment. They have the beauty of one brain, one structure, not in two halves. They are not rare. There are many races like this, and the connection and collection of these with the soul and the dimension of physicality gives them life which they do not consume. Due to the structure of it, they create that condition of the absorption. They create that condition of the living within the fields which they become the black hole of, and they become the creator. So what we see, we can find parallels. When it comes to the dimension of physicality, in the dimension of its purity, there is always need a balance, what we call Trinity, what we call the structure. Even in the structure of the soul of the creator, where is his Trinity? Why do we call it a mitra? Why have we found the riddle rather than facing the reality, the facts, the structure? I have to give and I have to take, and in giving I have to somebody to give to, and in take I have to get from it. But in the process of giving and taking, there are some bits in the between which comes in and it becomes added. I cannot give you an empty spoon. It has to be something on it. It has to come from somewhere. We call it food. It's the same when you have a twin system. Earth does not have a twin system, but it's part of the structure. Because it's a multiple structures of. It has many children at the same time in the same garden. But our sun has the same position, he has a twin. But in give and take, it needs a distance in which the rest of the universe puts on the spoon to give to the other and take from. We see this process in the heart of the man. We see this process in the brain of the man. And then we see this even in our emotion, good and bad. And where we judge what is good and what is bad, we feed from the other one. I used to be a bad guy, now I learned to be a good guy, so I don't do wrongs. We receive some feeling of the strength of the emotion, which brings us to these changes. It's the same with the structure of the universe, structure of the life in the whole entire universe. We always give and we always take, but in giving, some bits are added in between. When it receives by the other side, it's not what we gave, there's something on the spoon which feeds the other. And it's the same when we receive. If you understand these principles, it becomes easy for man to open his eyes to the next dimension of creation, which is, what does RNA gives to the man, to his DNA, and what does it take from How does it work? How do they connect? How does this disk makes the music, which becomes the structure of the information between DNA and RNA, and then to RNA connected to the soul of them. Our DNA does not speak to our soul. It has a wrong characteristics in field strength. But the collection of its entirely work, we call it the soul of physicality, communicates with the soul of man. Which means, in a way, we call it RNA, but it's in a way the structure of the what we call the soul of physicality. There is always an intermediary. You need it. And then that intermediary knows, like a translator, what you mean, what you've done, and tells the other side understands the language. You got to understand something very chaotic. If every cell was supposed to be in touch directly, which they are, but not in a direct way, they're aware of the existence of the soul, but they go through the boss, which call it soul of physicality over a physical dimension. And then you understand what is the difference between the dimension of the physicality, the soul of physicality, and the soul of the man. And again, the soul of the man is an intermediary between the physical life of the man and its dimension of the field forces with the universe and the rest of the other fields. You cannot be in New York, or you cannot be on the other side of the planet and see what's happening to your child, which has traveled there. But you become aware of his pain, and you call your child on the other side of the world. What's wrong? Are you okay? Yes, mom, I'm okay, but I broke my arm. She says, I felt it. Then you understand the game of the soul of physicality. And then you understand the game of the soul. In a way, we connect in the dimension of the soul of physicality to some points where we feel an emotion. But at other points, we connect to the soul of the man to understand the connection in the universal condition and parameters of life. It is important for us to understand all what's happening around us. It's important for all of us to understand how we as humans accept the condition, and we become aware of what our capabilities, what are we connected to, what connects to us, and how important is the connection to life to all of us. I made man in the image of myself. So you understand, it's not just emotion, it's the totality of the energy fields which is carried on. In the process of the technology development, this is what we do. We try to create a hydrogen, we try to connect the what we call oxygen, and we try to create amino acids in how we can use it to connect our soul of physicality, the physicality, and the soul of them. This is why you take the ganses, you take the water, you connect the physical side. Now the soul of the energy fields of it has to connect with your soul of physicality to be affecting the rest of the physicality. Your arm moves, your pain reduces or your pain increases. This is not the water which has done it. The energy, the soul of physicality, which in that portion you carried, interacts with soul of physicality of you, which if it balances with the soul operation of what the whole thing is set out for it to do, then you see the change. You see the effect. But if it doesn't show itself, it means it's working somewhere else. You needed it. You looked at the wrong thing, because this, what you're looking at, is not received what he wanted. So he said, oh, this gas doesn't work. But it works, but you have to see if it didn't work, where did the energy of it go? What was short that has been satisfied? And then what was the soul of physicality of the water? What was it supposed to carry? You say, oh, I take a gans of zinc, or I take a gans of CO2 and this and that. Have you understood? Did you work to the dimension of the soul of physicality in the field of what it is, in the gans you received or you made, to connect with first? You don't eat whatever you see in the shop, just pick up and eat. You look at it. I don't like it. This is a bit too ripe. This is a bit too red. This is too hard. It's the same with you. You adjust it. You have to learn how to do it. And this is part of the structure of the soul of physicality of the man. This is how we connect. This is how we know what it is. Have you ever picked up a pear in a shop and say, what can I give you that you give me the pleasure of your existence? Or do you just pick it up as another pear in the basket? There you go. If you do that, you haven't received much. But if you connected with it, you already received all this beauty before even you shop from it. Or you take it home. This is what we have not understood. This is what, in the new development of technology, we are pushing in for you to understand more, to see. Those of you who join us tomorrow in the sessions, you have to understand what to do. Do you have gases with you at home? Do you have a gas of CO2? Do you have a gas of, let's say, Zadan? And then, during the session, hold it in your hand. CO2 connects you to the life of the universe and the existence of the material condition of the gases of this planet. Hold it in your right hand, because it's the giver. You have zinc with, you have a problem in your, God knows, depression or a pain somewhere, hold it in the other hand. And during the session, we control the other side from inside. And you see what the experience is, how you connect to it, because this is how you will shape your physicality at the end of transmutation. What can I give from what I have, and what can I take from the environment I'm in, which is physically confirm my existence, and then how I feel inside. This is the evolution in the science and technology, which step by step we are bringing into operation. Many of you, you have these communication bundles. Many of you, you have the obesos units with you. It's not just putting it there. Put the gases of the CO2, the bottle you have, on top of the system, and then hold the others in your hand, and then see what change it brings in. You held on to the body, but you never took the dimension of the field, the strength of the emotion of it. That does. Now you understand where we're even taking you in the dimension of the process of using the communication bundles with our system. This is what the maggrav system is. Many times I told you, you just look if it gives me electricity. You haven't looked what it gives you as an emotion to elevation of the soul of the man. How many times have you sat above your system, your magravs? Then you see what energy you take, not what comes up through the plug. Because there you connect to the fields of the soul, which connects you to the others. And then you see what enlightenment you receive, what problems which you have created for the others and yourself resolves itself. Now you understand how things work and how you're connected with. In tomorrow's session, when you come in, try to carry with yourself a CO2 bottle and a zinc. And then get yourself a mixture of the CO2 and zinc in a bottle and put it on top of your communication bundle. Then you see how you feel. You don't have a maggrav unit, you don't have a communication unit. Can I connect the other way? Yes, with the bottles in your hand. Something which you have to learn, something which we know but we never understand. If you look in the structure of the physicality of the man, it's very interesting how this thing works and how the things structure themselves. We never look at it. And then we say, why the soul of the man always moves upward? Why in the structure of the graphs we show you, we always see the yellow line on the right side, which is the vertical structure, which is the vertical dimension of your soul. If you look at some of the, what we call the graphs which we have, is very simple. If you haven't noticed up to now, and that is, I'll try to pop one up for you that you can see what we are talking about. Then you become aware of one fact. There we are. This is one of the graphs. The one on the left side, which is on this part, ooh, I cannot touch on this one. The one you look on the left side of the central line is your horizontal line. The one on the right side is a vertical, where you see the, what we call the physicality. But you don't see much of your physicality because the dimension of the physical body of the man to the strength of the field of the plasma of the universe is tiny. So in a way, it's sitting in that. Sometimes you see a little yellow dot somewhere on the left side of the graph. This is your horizontal. But on the vertical, you see the yellow lines jumping everywhere, because it shows to what field of strength your soul is interacting with. You haven't understood the science of it. It's very easy. The science of it tells us a very simple thing. How does this happen? And how we connect to our souls on the dimension of physicality. In a very simple way, it means, as knowledge seekers, you have not understood what happened and why you see in a dimension of vertical soul the yellow lines, which means expansive dimension of manifestation. If we put you on one, we can tell you even where your soul, the physicality will manifest itself. How does this come about? It's very simple. You have the skull, and then you have your body. And this is your physicality. I should have become Picasso. I would have gone bankrupt. But this is the shape of your body. But go back to part of the teaching, which I always said, that the body of the man is a tokamak. What does it mean? You have blood vessels which runs along your body. But when you look at these blood vessels, if we look at the top of the head, in a way, we observe a magic thing. This is the head, and we look at it from the top point of view. What we'll see, the blood vessels go down on either side. The top of our head is an open gap, more or less, for the blood vessels. It has, but not compared to the rest of the body. This is why in the physical dimension of the horizontal line, the soul of the man is controlled during the time you're with us in a typical manner, which tells you it's connected. The strong field of the blood vessel doesn't allow it to expand too much, as you saw on the graph on the horizontal. But on the vertical side, if I choose the yellow, voila, is open. This part allows the physicality of the man to extend and expand to dimensions of connection. This is why our soul is all the time connected, because this path is open. And when we dream, when we are in the state of the dream, in a way, we are using one part is weaker. So we escape, in a way, through the weaker side of the opening. Try to understand your dreams, in a way, a connection of your soul with the rest of the universe. And try to find out, when you wake up, on which side of your head you woke up. Were you lying on the right side, or were you lying on the left side? Were you sleeping on the back, or were you sleeping face down? And then try to analyze how the fields this comes through, and try to understand the dream or the connection. And then you find out, in the structure of physicality, which dreams will come to be real. And then you say, I had a dream, I've seen it. Is it when you're sleeping on the right side when you had a dream? Fortunately, we cannot sleep on our head upright like the trees do. And that's why there are vertical people. The soul works the dimension of physicality. Horizontally, the roots are limited. Vertically, they have the same opening as we do. In a way, they stuck its head in the sand. Then, if you understand this, then it comes to you another dimension. How we connect with all this, with our body. Go back to the book of science. Something very interesting will come up for you. And that is, if you take all the blood vessels of the man, which goes in every single part of your body, and you take the earth, and you connect all these veins together, let's say you think what, it'll be 1,000 meter, 2,000 meter of blood vessels? No. If you put all your veins, and in that includes if you do the same with your neural system, because they're more or less the same, it can go around the earth about 2 to 4 times. That's how much blood vessels is in the body of the man. Then this tells you, if you understand it, how you connect to every point of this blood, how you feel your child. Because every part of this vessel, every blood in it, is connected to the given field strength. This is how your cells feed themselves. They take from the, in what we call the lymph, and the connection with the neural system, and the connection with the blood flow magnetic fields, what they need, and they regenerate themselves. I made man in the image of myself, which means I take from the universe at every point what I need to the connections I've created. So does the man. Then you understand how your physical life takes shape, and why we see these graphs, and you see the yellow line on one side and on the other. Because it means our physical life through the vertical line can transmute. It takes its physicality with it. But look at the graphs, how many times you see it below line, which means I'm holding on to, I want to be physical, and see how many times it goes up. And then when you see a large line or an equal line, it means it's got to destination. It has its soul of physicality and the soul together, and there we are. You have transmuted, and you held everything together. We never see in our graphs a very straight line of the transmutation. We always say, even on the line, they're all together, is it good? Because it continuously confirms, yes, I am, I have to keep, and I want to keep to this. I made man in the image of myself. I communicate in my physicality, same as I communicate in the planetary system, in the solar system, in the galaxies. Is one system. It's not adapted for you. You just adapt in what field and strength of it you want to take to be able to confirm your existence. Now you understand how we connect you, how these tests we do on Fridays every month brings the data to us. How many of you move in the physical dimension? How many of you stuck to it? In the dimension of the physicality, we see yellow on the what we call the left side, and we see you guys are still holding on to. And when you see a little dot yellow here and there on the left, it means somebody is there, is too physical, wants to stay behind, is just here for a ride, see if it is, but affects the job of the others who want to go, because we're all connected. You're the anchor to the port. Then when we look at the ones who go through the special cases through wellness center, we see different graphs. How much attached below the line, it shows how much you're physically attached to it, even though the soul is in a different dimension. Uncertainty in really wanting to achieve. Then you understand every point of the science we have created and we explain now comes together to show they are connected. And there was a reason for doing so. In so many ways, you come to understand every point of the technology which is in the hand of the man now brings him closer to understand his own creation. The process of the fields, not the arm and the leg and the kidney. You have to find out which field strength will give you what you need, and which field strength it gives away what you don't need into the universe, into the space of time and place. Watch when a grandfather holds his granddaughter. Who is winning? Who is taking? And then you see why even we cuddle each other, how we hold each other, why we trust those who we trust, we cuddle and hug, and those we don't, we keep a shake hand. Watch a grandfather when he holds his grandchild afterwards and during, and see how much of the fresh energy we call the love is given to him. And then see what he gives back. The process between the two is recycling of energy, confirmation of I give what you need and I take from you what you don't need. That I can still carry loving you. Now you understand, maybe, how your physical structure, even to the blood vessels, brings everything in. As I said to you many, many, many years ago, you try to get your child or your grandchild sleeping next to you ear to ear, side by side in the same direction, or side by side in opposite, your legs on one end and her leg on the other, and try to see what's the difference between the emotion and love and energy on the left ear and the right ear. And then if he's next to you and is riding in a straight line with you, then you understand more about yourself. Do it with your lover, husband and wife. See where is the weakness, where it brings the balance. And then you understand the process of creation. Then you understand how fields connect to each other. And then you understand the process of the RNA and DNA. One has to understand the process of creation is simple. It's made difficult because man never understood the real process. Look back into the dimension of existence and in the dimension of connection. You do not need your grandchild to hold her hand all the time to tell and to confirm your love. But through the eye, through the feels, through the smile, through the confirmation, through just a shake of a head, you transfer every emotion which that child needs. And how we do, how we teach physical, and how we confirm. There's a beautiful video on the internet, if you ever get a chance to watch. The Queen of Spain sitting with the princess. Young age, maybe 7, 8, 9 years old. The queen is a distance. The little girl does not hold her legs together, the shoes together, as is a royal manner. And she twinkles and opens like a few centimeters as being a child swinging it on the chair because she's still little and doesn't touch the ground. You see it from a distance, the Queen of Spain with the hands just bring it together, put your legs together. This is how you should see it. And when she does, she just gives another confirmation of love. This is one of the most powerful pictures you see. And this is how we interact. We don't need to be connected, but we show our thanks and appreciation and understanding and love. This is how we connect to our Creator. Doesn't come and put our legs together and say sit straight. It shows us the way by messengers through our own soul, the understanding of our own connection, and then it shows a nod. This is the way to be done. This is how I love you, and this is how the perfect position is, and how it has to be. This brings you into a lot of new understanding. It brings you to understand the difference between DNA, the physicality, and the RNA, the love of the man. And this brings us step by step, one step closer and one step closer to understand our own life and understand what and how we affect the others' lives and how they affect us, even though we are miles, hundreds of kilometers, and stars and galaxies away from each other. In a way, if you look at the structure of the field of the universe, is one big ball of strings, which is circled, starts with a little ball, and then you twist it and twist it, and you make a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger ball. That space in between the threads and that space in connection between different is the unicos. But the thread of soul of the creator is what you hold in your hand and you're twisting it to make the ball that all stays the same. That's the love of creator. This is how we are connected. Does not matter which string and which point crossed us, because it still is the same and its interaction has created us. So we are created from the love and the fields of the creator, and how it crosses in that ball, it creates our galaxy. One creates our universe in totality, and at the end, that string is still in your hand, still expanding because there is so much more left. Then you understand how life is spherical and all connected to each other by one string. We call it the love of creator, the essence of the creation. Whenever you don't understand the beauty of the creation and how you're connected to the creator, and you ask yourself the purpose of life, get yourself a long piece of thread, and then start winding it. Keep the circle going. And then make it as big as you like. And then somebody, one of those two lines touching each other is you in the middle or on the edge. But you still have the end of the string in your hand, which has connected all these connections and knots and junctions with each other. That's how the truth is about the life of the creation. We are all on one string, on one line of the love of the creator's field. And by twisting and turning, we put different pressure, different connections, different creation, but in essence, we are all connected. This is what I always said. If you understand this, in a way, if you look at how you twist and tangle this rope, and how it creates itself, at the end of it is what we call the same string, the soul of creator. And you are in this point in the interaction. And maybe interaction of the rope here is the galaxy which is field has embraced you and encompassed you. Then you understand how we are connected to the creator. All comes from the same source, from the same string. We call it the RNA of the creator, and the connection of it creates us. But at the end of it, one big question is, who's holding the end of this rope? When it comes to feel the strength of the creation, and how many junctions we see here, that each one is a life of one galaxy, one universe, and in totality, a unicos sits within this. It's just a matter of how long is the piece of string, and how long and how strong is the love of the creator and the fields which led to creation of totality. And in a way, when you look at this rope itself, is made of many, many, many strings, which make that the strand is not one piece. When you make a thread from the wool, it's not just one piece of sheep wool you put together. You add more and you twist it and you twist it and you add more. So this thing is an amalgamation of many, and that is the source of the creation. Life is simple. It's just man, through his own lack of understanding the process of creation, has made it complicated for itself. And made man in the image of myself, because my image is what I made from interaction of the fields of myself with the others of me. I hope you understand and you understood how you're connected. And maybe for the first time you understand when you ask yourself a question: where is God? And where is my creator? As I said before, get hold of this strand and follow it down and see where it goes back to. And somewhere here is you, but still there is more of, till you come to the other end of the source of, and then you find out how life is, how we are all created, but we chosen different interaction and positions. We call it the kidney, we call it the body of the man, we call it the planet Earth, we call it blah 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 and the rest. But at the end of it is one piece of a string. What is on one end and expanding to, and what is the source where it started from. How twist and entangles to create this ball, we call it the universe, the universe. This is how the truth is about ours, about our creation and the created, and about every other aspects of the creation in the universe. And then you all understand we have one common denominator string. The way you could trace the mother from North America down which path came to from Central Africa, the same way we can trace the man on this planet, which line of the hydrogen and which connections and where they met and they interacted. But at the end, ends up with the same mother, with the same source. Now we see a bigger picture, as we showed you the connection between the other pictures in the past teachings of recent past. Now we see a deeper understanding of we are all the same. And that's what I go always not saying, what are we fighting? Color of skin, the height, nationality, race and religion, which we all have made these ourselves to say we are different and we are better, or we enjoy the beauty of the variation and say we are here in this shape, name and color and religion because we would like to have beauty of the collection of the colors and the emotion of the feelings of the universe, that it brings us the beauty of the what we call life in totality. I hope you understood more. I hope you came to understand more about yourself than anything else, and how you're connected and how you can connect to your creator. It's just finding the path to the maze, and what will be amazing is how much you understand of your own creation. We go for a break and we come back. And as usual, we'll try to answer some of your questions.